you want to get ready by the Lee Russell.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning Somewhere!
for December 24th, 2024. My name is Marty Burns. Sitting right over there, she puts the hoe in Merry Christmas. It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
Merry Chrysler. How's everybody doing?
We are currently in, this is the period of full madness. So if we're all a little bit crazy today, look, we're crazy with you, bud.
A little bit. We're not as crazy as you are. If you're out right now listening to this podcast because you are running around the car, shame on you for doing your shopping this late.
Yeah, we're doing it later today.
We live in Scotland where that's not possible. We live in rural Scotland where it's like they're not changing their holiday hours for anybody for any reason.
No, and and it's interesting because it's a thing that it's a strategy I respect, right? That they're like,
do you? Because you didn't respect it yesterday when we were out.
I respect it, and right up until I come up against it, and it's personally affecting me. Theoretically, philosophically, I like that they're not going to adjust hours. They're going to keep things nice and reliable for their employees. Your lack of planning is not their problem. Here's the thing. As like a retail organization, they could absolutely profit from your problem, and they're not doing that.
Right. They definitely could do that.
So it is both a missed opportunity and an inconvenience, but they're holding the line for their employees, and that is respectable.
You know, while we're talking about respectable strategies during the holiday season, I have to give a special acknowledgement to my oldest son, Jack, JD. He has a great strategy for gift giving at Christmas. He's just established he gives a certain gift, and he gives everyone an audiobook, and he puts thought into it, and he gets you your audiobook, and then I get to talk to him about the audiobook as I'm listening to it. Last year, he got me Parable of the Sower.
Yeah, he's really good at thinking about a book that you would like and sending that to you, and it's very nice.
And it's really smart, too, because he does them through Audible. This is not an advertisement. And so he gets to plan it out over the course of the year. So if he does like a 12-month subscription, he gets 12 books for the year for $70. But by the time he gets to December, he doesn't have to spend any more money.
Here's my problem.
He's already he's had his little investment account for Christmas the whole year.
It's smart. I can't do that because I would run through my 12 credits in approximately January.
You could, young lady, make another account that you don't access.
Self-control.
You could do it. You could make another account. I think you could even make a new account in December and pre-buy for a year. Although maybe it would parse out the credits.
I suspect you would parse out the credits.
But you could do it. Yeah, but it's a smart way to do it. I especially at that age, I remember coming up against Christmas and being counting everybody and being like, oh my God, I'm about to go dead ass broke for a month and a half. My girlfriend in college, she was like a broke accountant. She was like an actuary, and she could put things in order.
Was she the progenitor of girl math?
No, because this was beyond that. This was something I've never seen before. It's a thing where she could when you have no money and you become incredible about every dollar and cent then that you have.
Yes.
And you can apply it in certain ways. Let me tell you how precise she got with it. She had, she came from a divorced family, so she had 2 sets of parents she had to buy for, and then even some extended family, grandparents in there as well. So she had a lot of presents to buy. And she would go through and she would calculate based on how much money she had and what she was going to buy. She would buy the presents in a certain order. This is going to sound very old based on what I'm about to say. And she would make sure that she would buy the less expensive presents first, because then as she got down to the more expensive presents, then she would bounce fewer checks.
Oh my God.
For writing those checks for those presents. So she would get hit with less bank fees and then push the payments into January so she would be able to do it. So she had to buy 8 gifts, and the last one was $50 and the second last one was $40.
Right, because you get the same sort of bounced check fee.
It's per check.
Either way, so you may as well bounce the more expensive.
And I was like, how are you this good at financial planning and this fucking broke? And I was also like, just don't buy, whoever she goes, I have to. I don't have a choice. I have to, it's Christmas. I got to buy him something nice.
I thought I was doing really well when I was super broke and I was like, all right, I can eat for a week on $5 if I have rice and I have beans. And if I'm going to treat myself to a chicken stock cube to flavor up the rice a little bit. And if I really spring for canned tomatoes, that's going to just add an extra. And then I'm fed for a week.
Yeah, she would have that. And then she'd have the layer of, also, if I steal from a homeless guy's cup, then I can also get an apple or two or something.
What's the Christmas movie where they do that? Was it Home Alone where the guy has tape around his fist and just sticks it into a homeless guy's thing and comes out with coins?
Oh, is that one of the Wet Bandits does that?
I want to say that's Home Alone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
it wasn't as important a movie to me. Do you consider that to be like a classic Christmas movie as Home Alone?
I do. It's a movie that we watched a lot when I was young as a Christmas movie. But the movie from the drop is A Christmas Story, right?
Yeah.
And that one is one that I watched a ton. When I was much younger, I feel like A Christmas Story was the definitive Christmas movie. I don't think that's the case anymore. It was the sort of non-Miracle on 34th Street. It was the sort of current generation movie for Christmas that everyone watched. I guess the equivalent now would be Elf.
When we were growing up in the 80s, we had to deal, like a lot of our entertainment, classic entertainment, was just based on boomer nostalgia. Like Christmas Story is an 80s movie, but it's set in the 50s from when the boomers were all kids growing up in that era and having Christmas. And then remember like The Wonder Years, was a big show then as well. And even like later on, we had like That 70s Show, when they were teenagers and stuff like that. I don't feel like Gen X forced that shit on people, like you have to live, like once they were done with our teenage movies like Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink, you don't see us making you watch like 80s teenagers movies in the 2000s.
No, you just go back and you watch Pretty in Pink.
You watch those movies, right. You don't make new ones like 20 years later, but are set in that time period.
I wonder if that has more to do with how movies are distributed or if it's just that the sort of technology has plateaued is not the right word because you can definitely tell an 80s movie from a 2000s movie in terms of just the way they do their cinematography, whether it was shot on digital, is it in 4K, all that stuff you can definitely tell. But I feel like there's less of a gap between 80s movies and now than there was 50s movies and 80s movies. Does that make sense?
It does make a little bit of sense. What I think the big gap, what you're talking about, reminds me of there was a period of television when they moved from filming on like 16 millimeter film to filming on very modern video cameras that were just fucking terrible. And those things are not syndicatable at all. Like there's a whole era of television that just looks like garbage. Like if you go back and watch old football games and they show the graphics on the screen, and you're like, ugh. And then they cut to a clip from like NFL Films and it's fucking amazing and cinematic. It was like two different tiers for a long time. Now video has caught up. But for a long time, all the stuff that was shot on video just looks really genuinely terrible.
Yeah, there was also, we still run into things like that. You'll find TV shows that have been sort of re-released for widescreen formats, and you find crew people in the background because they were out of shot in sort of like the standard aspect ratio, but they had to just get that wide aspect ratio and no one checked that there's a sound guy right there in the corner. And so that sort of stuff does still pop up. There's still flaws as you move older videos forward in technology, but not nearly as many.
Do you remember before like motion smoothing, which by the way, your tip yesterday about if you're buying an Xbox or something for somebody, take it out of the box and run all the updates because we didn't get to this part of it. Don't forget that on Christmas morning, everybody's running their updates so they go slower.
Yes. So it's not just a matter of downloading the however many gig update for the system and then the 100 gig update for the game. It's also that you're competing with everyone who's doing that at the exact same time. I have to assume that the technology giants know about this and do roll out extra servers for the day, but that's still a very expensive proposition for them and doesn't work that great all the time.
Right. So in that same vein, if for some reason you're buying someone a television or if somebody ends up with a television
I already know where this is going.
On Christmas Day, go through and turn off like the motion smoothing stuff that's on there. Oh my God, it's Tom Cruise. What's he doing in here? Although I don't know if anyone's buying it. That's another thing. When you're talking about inflation, things that are protected by inflation, televisions are the opposite. I feel like televisions have been deflationary. You look at like a catalog, you're talking about the Sears catalog yesterday too. You look at like 80s, like a projection TV, and it was like $7,000 in 1980s dollars.
Microwaves.
And now
were
they're like
that.
now they're like $400 for a gigantic TV.
Now, if you pay $100 for a microwave, you're like, nah, I'm splurging.
Yeah. The difference is those microwaves and projection TVs from the 80s still work.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, your food comes out glowing green, but it's fine. Quick note as well for the motion smoothing.
NORAD shows up. They start tracking your hot dog.
Is different brands call motion smoothing different things, which is incredibly annoying.
Yeah, you can find it though.
You can find it, but it's like you look for like action smoothing or true motion or motion flow. It's going to be something smooth or something motion based. Okay?
Yeah, it might be frame rate related to,
Yeah, so look for something like that and just start turning everything off.
just try playing a video game on it, like an FPS game, then you'll spot it immediately, I feel like. It's so uncanny when you play it on a motion smooth TV. So if you see someone who got a new TV, then do that. But I was going to say, like, going back to like that era of weirdness, do you remember the era of pan and scan when TVs were square, but the cinema was rectangular, like 16:9.
Yep.
And so to fit things on a 4:3 television, they would just put the full image and then pan back and forth digitally within the frame as people were talking or something like that. It was horrifying. When you go back and watch it now, it's like, why did we ever think this was acceptable?
I get it as if that's a new technology and you're like, what do we do? I can see how someone would go, we'll just do this. And it sounds like a great idea at the time. But there are a lot of things, guys, that sound like a great idea at the time. Motion smoothing probably sounded like a great idea at the time.
Do you remember, too, when the TVs were square, they would sell special editions of the movies that were letterboxed so you could see the full frame. But the black bars, you'd always have like your parents go, "What? I want to see the whole picture." And you're like, just stop talking right now.
I do remember that.
Curious
That was the
of
time. So here's a question for you, Bernie.
Yeah.
And this is the age-old question.
Feel free to steal JD's Audible thing, by the way. I think it's a great plan. And I love it. So steal that for the future. Because if you're running around today, you're thinking, why didn't I take care of this before? Just establish this for yourself. It'll make your whole life easier.
Yeah, you're set. Do something digital. But my question for you, Bernie, is, and we can make everyone in the world mad with this question, is what counts as a Christmas movie? The reason I ask this.
Oh, we're going to do this? No. Okay.
Well, this is a healthy discussion to be had. But the reason that I ask
We will not mention Die Hard.
is because I have been watching this show on Netflix called Black Doves. It's Keira Knightley and Ben Whishaw. Do you know who Ben Whishaw is?
Ben Whishaw, if you're asking me, no. But if you're asking me who Ben Whishaw is, I'm going to say he was one of the Doctor Who's. That's usually my go-to answer. It's a high probability if you ask me that question, I go, oh, weren't they? They were Doctor Who.
So yeah, he'd be great Doctor Who probably.
I'm pretty sure one of us was a Doctor Who at one point.
But you do know who Ben Whishaw is because you will have seen him for sure as Q.
Q?
Yeah,
that actor's still working?
Young Q. Yeah.
Who is young Q?
What do you mean young Q? From the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. Remember, they brought in like a young, he's like 20-year-old Q.
I thought you were talking about the Q from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
There's a Q in Star Trek?
He's like an interdimensional prankster. I don't know how else to describe him. He's dumb.
He's Loki?
Kind of, yeah. He's almost like a god, kind of, who shows up and does stuff. Q, okay, Q, the gadget guy from James Bond.
Yes,
Got it.
but he's in this sort of spy thriller series with Keira Knightley called Black Doves, and I wanted to ask because everything in this movie there's Christmas decorations. It takes place during Christmas time. As far as I can tell, so far, I haven't watched the entire show yet. I'm several episodes in. Christmas itself doesn't seem to be a specific feature of the movie. Like if you took all the Christmas stuff out, it wouldn't change what it is, right? It would still be a spy thriller, just it happens to have tinsel and there's garland wrapped around railings
right.
And there are fairy lights
Fair
on everything.
Play. Sure.
But the Christmas itself is not necessarily an important part. Does it count as a Christmas movie because it takes place at Christmas time?
It's also weird because they probably shot it in May. When they made the movie.
Oh yeah, there's behind the scenes of all the Hallmark movies being shot with all the fake snow that they bring in, and it's just Hallmark. It's the middle of May or June, and so everything around the set is green or maybe even summer brown, and then there's just this white set right here.
Can I just say here, slight tangent, we'll come straight back.
Will we?
We're not doing it right now, but at some point in the future, when they do figure out what the fuck they're going to do with James Bond, they cannot seem to navigate that they have to select a new James Bond. They just keep They're going to do this person. No, we're not going to do that person. We're going to pull it back.
I think it's all rumors, just people speculating because this is not a property they're going to let sleep, right? But who's it going to be and what are they going to do?
When they announce the next James Bond, that week, not before, we're just going to mention it now, put a seed in there. We're going to all do a write-in campaign to get Gavin Free an audition for Q.
Oh, he'd be great.
He would be a fantastic Q.
He'd be a great Q.
I would argue both Gav and Dan have like a 2-person Q would be funny and charming.
They get to be the QQ.
We're not talking about this now. We're just saying put the seed in there for when this happens. There will be a concerted effort at the moment to do that.
Look, he's got film credits under his belt. He can do this.
Absolutely, he does, and he's great at presenting information very quickly that you want to see. That is very entertaining to watch.
Right. So all right,
somehow turning on the science part
first.
of his brain at that point in time. So
yeah.
Anyway,
You mean when his brain he actually turns the brain on?
So I said I wasn't going to mention Die Hard, but going back now, rolling back up from this tangent, Die Hard is like one of those movies. It's an action movie that doesn't have to take place at Christmas. It just happens to take place at Christmas.
Right. I was wondering this too because a few years ago the Hawkeye series came out, which is still I think Hawkeye, which is still I think one of the better Disney Plus series. I really enjoyed what they did with it. I wasn't expecting to like it nearly as much as I did.
I thought it was weird when they had the Hawkeye scene in the middle of it, but other than that, I thought it was great. I thought it was okay. I do think. Maybe they should have. It's a good transition, and Jeremy Renner seems to be willing to pass the mantle. It seems to be one of the easier ones to pass along.
Yes, there were some things I didn't like about it. I don't think I've ever been quiet about it. I didn't like what they did with Kingpin in that series, but that's because I have a soft spot for him from the Netflix Daredevil series in particular, and I thought that they nerfed him way too much. But overall, I thought it was a great series, and that's another series that took place at Christmas time. But Christmas itself wasn't the focus. They're not trying to save Christmas, right?
Yeah. I'm just sorry. In my head, I'm thinking at this point, you could have a full ladies Avengers. Sorry, I was in a tangent in my own head. You got Lady Hawkeye. You got Lady Thor.
Yeah.
At this point, you got She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Right? You're about to have Lady Iron Man.
Are you trying to make everyone mad?
I'm saying Black Widow, you could gender swap too. I'm just saying Luigi Mangioni's right there.
Look, everyone does love that. Or I can recommend Blaine Gibson. He looks good in spandex.
What was his agent name in your?
I don't remember what our agent names were. I just remember the spandex butt. And Blaine Gibson spandex butt.
You've got Captain Carter too, so you could do it. We just need a male Black Widow, if that's allowed. I'm not sure if that's allowed.
What would you call a male Black Widow?
Frank. Iron Man and Frank. All right, sorry. I was in my head. I got a tangent, so I'm back to you now. So with your Christmas movies.
Well, I mean, what do you think the line is? Do you think the movie has to be about Christmas in order to be a Christmas movie, or can Christmas just be there?
I think Christmas is what you make it. I think if you want it to be a Christmas movie, it's a movie you watch at Christmas. Then it's a Christmas movie. Why is Home Alone? They could have abandoned their kid in any season. It didn't have to be Christmas. Could have been a summer movie if they wanted it to.
That's true. It's very true. It could absolutely be, which would then, under that, I guess, particular criteria, it would fail the Christmas test.
I think we're well past the...
Is this the tinsel test?
What's the Wonderful Life that's literally about Christmas and everything like that? Or it doesn't have to be a movie about Santa Claus. It can just be whatever you want that makes you and your family happy. Or makes you think about your childhood. That's really what Christmas is about. It's all about kids. If you're an adult listening to this, and you probably are an adult, you realize Christmas is just a whole lot of fucking work. Honestly.
It is, but I also love it. And I wouldn't say I appreciated Christmas.
We don't even get the credit. The fucking Santa Claus gets all the credit.
In nearly the same way before I had kids, I appreciated Christmas in a completely different way, which is, ooh, look at all the creative cocktails I can have for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
I still have that, but that's more of a coping mechanism now than the actual focus.
Dear listeners, Ashley is on a kick right now. She is on an edible glitter kick.
And before you say anything, I know it can't be good for us.
It cannot. You're drinking something.
But it's very pretty, and just think about my sparkly insides.
It does look really... No, I haven't thought about that part of it.
If you drop just the tiniest amount of glitter on a table or something, that's it. There's glitter in your house forever. Now imagine your stomach.
Yeah. It's like the gum that lives in your stomach for 7 years. That old urban legend. That's true for this glitter. So it's edible glitter. Buyer beware. We are not recommending edible glitter, even though I've been drinking every night for the last 3 nights an edible glitter drink.
Well, it's because I've got multiple cocktails. There's a snow globe, which is the gin and tonic with white edible glitter in it. And then you can also, if you want to give it a little Christmas tree, you put a little sprig of rosemary in there. And that's a delight. And you've got your Christmas mimosas, which is you put a cranberry juice in with a red edible glitter, and it's sparkly red. And you can put the juices in a glass ornament if you want to be extra fancy. The possibilities are endless.
Y'all are getting the short version
Endless.
of this. I've been dealing with this for like a week now, and they've been showing up one package of edible glitter after another. Ashley, how would you describe the effect of what it looks like? Because it looks like it's not like glittery in your glass. It's more like
it's more pearlescent.
It looks like a spell or a potion.
It takes the drink and it makes it opaque, so you can't see through it, but it has this pearlescent effect. So it's like a liquid. You know, those liquid like squishy. You could get it was like a squishy tube almost, where liquid would go from one end to the other end.
A squishy tube.
A squishy
you know what?
tube.
That's exactly what I got you for Christmas this year. So you just ruined it. I got you a squishy
tube
with a liquid that goes. Oh wait, now this sounds gross.
Not that squishy, babe.
The pearlescent thing you're talking about though, it's like you'll know it when you see it. It's like when there's like a spell or a crystal ball, and it's like smoke inside of liquid is what it looks like. There you go.
If someone made a magic potion bottle and sold it to you in a store, you would expect it to look like
ink
this.
in water. That's what I would describe it as. Like
Except
that.
shiny.
Except shiny. Yeah, it's a cool effect, but it's not worth whatever we're doing to our bodies by drinking edible fucking glitter. For
You
God's
think
sake.
that, but next time you poop, I want you to look at that poop.
Well, I'm gonna poop on the lawn, and we're gonna tell the kids it was reindeer. That's what I'm gonna do. That's our Christmas plan.
That's our big plans for tonight. Is we're gonna drink a bunch and then poop on the lawn.
It's not good for us.
I know it's not.
So
good.
we are spending the rest of the day wrapping presents. That's what we'll be doing. Wrapping up gifts. And then we have to do that thing where we like tap out and like you have to leave so I can wrap your gifts.
Yeah, I know.
You want to make any predictions for tomorrow? Who won, me or you?
I think you probably did because you keep telling me.
I think that's a great call. I think all the odds makers are favoring me by like 8 points.
You keep telling me that you did really great this year.
I did so great.
I got you a few nice gifts, but I have a problem in that anything that you want, you buy for yourself. So I have to think of something that you don't know that you want, and that can be difficult.
I tried to help this the other way, where I tried to get it where everyone would just buy me a deck of playing cards because everyone said I was hard to buy for, which I completely acknowledge is true. So I just said, I'm going to start collecting something, and I'm going to collect playing cards because they have cool art on them and there's different variants and stuff like that. Just get me a cool deck of playing cards. I told that to everyone in my family. You did like 5 or 6 decks and in one go, and then it was done.
I did it for a couple of different occasions, but because you never seemed to play with the playing cards, I thought, nah.
Here's what I feel. Here's how I feel.
Now I feel like you're fully in the jumpers and socks category.
The gift is an obligation, and we all have to go through it and acknowledge it. It's like, here's something I'm going to enjoy. I don't have to use it all year long. It's like, you have the exchange. This was good. Now we're done. Done. It's like the same philosophy for these companies when they make gift cards. You go out and you buy a gift card for $20 for somebody. Done. You're done. You don't follow up to make sure they use the gift card unless,
Unless you do.
you're your mother, which she does.
She does do that sometimes.
Yeah, she does follow up a little bit. See if we use the gift card. But yeah, it's like, then that's the exchange and you're done and everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. It's all good. We're all good. We just did the exchange and that's the whole purpose.
You need to know, the thing with gifts is you need to know that you've been thought of.
You need to know that that's exactly right. So in other words, what I'm saying is just write $50 on the outside of the gift card and do like $5. And you're good. They'll never know. Like, honestly, if you went to the store and you're like, I got this gift card, it's 50. Is there anything on this? They say, well, there's only $5 in this. Go, I must have bought myself something nice for $45. That would be my thought, honestly.
Is that really, you're going to just assume that you don't remember buying something before?
The gift cards go in the drawer and then they come back out later. Do you run out to the store like you're out at like Best Buy the next day buying something for yourself at like with a gift card?
I probably should be, but no.
By the way, companies on a regular basis have to write off how many unused gift cards they have that are expiring.
They make so much money.
And then it's basically on their books because they took the money in, and then they have to basically write it down. Look at those reports sometimes and see how much money goes unused. Basically, the company is just pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes that people are just paying Best Buy so that they can just fulfill the obligation of buying a gift for their aunt or something like that. And that's it. And the money goes unused. Basically, Best Buy says, you pay us $20 and we'll tell everybody else you did a good job, basically.
Yeah, so here is an article from Hustle that has, I'm not super familiar with Hustle, but they have a breakdown of...
I think Barb was on the cover.
Of what different companies end up going through. Starbucks, 105 million. Best Buy, 37 million. Home Depot, 34 million. Outback Steakhouse is an interesting one, 26 million. Dunkin' Donuts, 22 million. This is unused gift cards.
Is that yearly? Was that a yearly thing that they were doing?
I believe so.
That's crazy.
I'll put this in the link dump if you want to see what the breakdown is on what companies end up essentially making from unused gift cards, because they get the money and then they don't have to give you the thing because you don't go get the thing.
It's like a Kickstarter for nothing. It's just like people are just like, you're just selling a little plastic card for $20 and then nothing comes of it. It's crazy. In fact, I would argue they probably screwed themselves over when they made mobile apps, because now people put the credits in and buy stuff online and ship to themselves, you know? It's actually probably gotten less profitable over time with the advent of, like, you know, digital wallets and things like that.
Right, because now you can put something in your, say, like your Amazon credit or something, and it automatically gets redeemed. Great.
That is a weird thing. Like, I'll forget sometimes that I, like, my last thing that I bought from Amazon, I shipped something back and got a refund, and it just sat in my Amazon credit. And then, like, I'm going to say a month later, let's be honest, it's probably like a week and a half later, I go to order something from Amazon, and it's like, oh, this thing is like already paid for because of your refund. You're like, oh, I forgot about that. That's nice.
It's basically free.
It's basically free, Ashley. It's basically free. I don't have to bounce checks for that today.
Well, look, if anyone is looking for last minute gifts, I do have to tell you that you can just go ahead and you can buy someone the gift of Morning Somewhere. If you're just like last minute, right? You're like, oh my God, I got to buy something. Look, we're a business, right? We're business. We're obligated to do the business.
You're
thing.
doing a fantastic job. I'm quiet over here.
Buy someone like 3 months of Morning Somewhere.
Why not 12?
You're doing a great job being quiet over there at patreon.com/morning somewhere. But I'd also like to say a big thank you to those who've bought themselves Morning Somewhere. And that is Dan Fedinition, Diego, and Anthony. Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of our show at patreon.com/morning somewhere.
All right, well, that does it for us today. Christmas Eve 2024. We're going to go wrap presents. We will be back to talk to you tomorrow. Secretly, it's going to be tonight. We're going to record it for tomorrow. You'll be here as well.
With a special guest Santa.
Bye. No special guest. What was that?